Nitin sir have already given several insights about the uses of biotechnology in the development of different kind of transgenic plants, their utilization and several mechanisms, including BT cotton. So in this lecture, I will cover and I will touch those portions which are practically important for the development of transgenic plants. And I will also explain how this BT toxin works and how we develop virus resistance herbicidal plant, and also how you develop flavor saver. So these are all covered in today's lecture. So this term you have already familiar, like transgene. Trans means other, gene is gene. So other source for other gene is transgene. Genesis means formation. That is expression of that foreign gene into some other organism. And the transgenic plant, that the plant which carry the other gene, the gene from other source, is called transgenic plant. Also, this it is called transgenic only when that functional gene is giving translation. I mean, giving a functional protein. If somehow that gene is silenced or not able to express that particular, now we do not say that that plant as a transgenic plant. So there are several precautions when we say that a particular plant is a transgenic plant. So this is a long history. So it starts in 1982 when of transgenic. So in Africa and several parts of Asia, they were suffering from vitamin A deficiency. And golden rice, if we use, it provides an adequate amount of vitamin A. Fine. And several prizes and several accolades were made for the development of different kind of transgenic plants. However, development of transgenic plants not only praised, but it is also criticized by several groups. Actually, if you see the basic development of transgenic plant, the era was around 90s to 2000. The problem, the world scientists were seeing that there was a sudden increase in the population, and that burst in population was actually not controlled by any country. Other thing which was faced by the communities in last several centuries, that because of attack of some bacteria, some fungus or some microbe or any kind of famine, that part of the world suffers a lot. they not only loses millions of people, but the economy of that particular country suffers badly. So they, with the advent of gene cloning and PCR, the number of transgenic plants were increasing day by day, and their evaluation is now very easy because, as I said, that a plant can be said transgenic only when it gives a functional protein. I mean, that gene must be expressed in the plant. Otherwise, that plant is not a transgenic. So here I am summing up that why transgenic plants. I have already quoted the example of golden rice, insecticide resistance, biotic resistance, abiotic resistance, and also the enhancement of self-life. Several industrial products, vaccine production, plantibody. Plant is an excellent bioreactor, and also the raising of plants in a controlled environment is very easy. That's why the whole world is now tilting towards that modified enzymes, modified proteins, which can be produced through plant. Also, plants have already several promoter system, and sometimes it is coupled with very high efficient promoter which is derived from viruses. Fine. So these promoter actually enhance the rate of production considerably in past, if I say 20 years or so, then I am not wrong. And uh, specifically, I am taking example of banana. Nowadays, in particularly in urban areas, there is a problem of heart problem is very much prevalent. I mean, uh, out of 10, 1 or 2 is suffering from heart problem, either from higher blood pressure, or there are several deaths because of heart failure. Why this happens? Because there is not a consistent or adequate flow of blood inside. I mean, circulation of blood get disturbed, and this is the main reason behind such kind of blockades. You know, scientists have trying to develop a banana which contains uh, hydrogen. This gene is actually taken from hydrogenaria. Hydrogenaria is a leech. This has got an excellent anticoagulant property. So somehow they are able to express in banana plant, and banana, because of its natural promoters, is able to produce adequate amount of hydrogen inside. So a patient or a general person who are in having of taking banana every day is somehow the chance of heart attack or any kind of heart related problem get reduced. ठीक है? So gene transfer methods, several methods. Sir has already uh, shown you several methods, but I am particularly restricted to agrobacteria mediated gene transfer because this is the method which is cheap, easily handled, and it is a reliable method for gene transfer. It is easy to set up in any general lab also. There are some chemical methods as well, like PEG, polyethylene glycol mediated methods. That all I am going to discuss one by one. So this is agrobacterium mediated gene transfer. Agrobacterium is nature's effective plant engineer. It actually infects the wounded part of the plant tissue, and it produces a tumor there. That tumor is specifically called crown gall. Then that bacteria, that is actually a soil bacteria, this bacteria releases Thai plasmid, that is tumor inducing plasmid, into the plant cell cytoplasm, which actually induces the crown gall. I am also quoting here that this agrobacterium mediated gene transfer is one of the excellent example of signal transduction, where every function is through the signals which is generated inside that bacteria and it plays its role. And agrobacterium is very much effective in producing a transgenic plant which are dicot in origin. So this is diplasmid. You could see its structure. This is left border and this is right border. And there are some hormone synthetic genes are there. This whole region is called tDNA. T means transfer DNA. And this is virulence region, and this is opine catabolism. And there are some catabolism genes are also present in diplasmid. Actually, the transfer capability of this arm, this T arm, was a boon for the development of several transgenic plants. Fine, I am going to show that how it happens. This is a very big plasmid. Its size is around 200 kb to 250 kb. Fine. And three regions are this tDNA, virulence region, and opaline catabolism region. And there is one also origin of replication, which is responsible for the DNA replication. And it is obvious because if ORI, I have quoted in my last lecture also that if ORI is not present, it's not going to replicate. So you could see this is a complex picture of tDNA transfer and integration. Just try to understand. This is a plant cell and this is agrobacterium, which attaches on the outer surface of the plant cell. This agrobacterium, this is actually a big bacteria because this plasmid itself is around 200 to 250 kb. So you can easily understand that it is at least 10 to 20 times bigger than its plasmid. Otherwise, it is not going to survive with such a large plasmid. So it specifically attach at some point. My question is, what are the factors? How it recognize? I have said, I said in the last slide that this agrobacterium, tDNA transfer is an excellent example of signal transduction. So it is a signals, which is, every cell have their own signaling uh, methodology, and it recognizes its signal and it attach, because now it recognizes that yes, this is the point where I have to get attached, and this is specific attachment. Now the signals from plant, it actually triggers its virulence genes. There are several set of virulence gene which is present in this tumor inducing plasmid, that this plasmid. The namely A, B, C, D, E, F, G, there are so many. So first G, this signal is actually recognized by VIR A. VIR A. VIR A means virulence A, which activates VIR G. VIR G is actually having a bigger role in all this process. This VIR J acts as a transcriptional activator, and it activates all the genes which are present. Okay? So this portion is now get activated and they starts making cluster, and with the help of this channel, every cell have their own channel. Okay? Because cell is not a closed system, it is semi permeable, you know that. So with the help of this channel, that cluster starts going into other cell, that is the plant cell. And now you have the main task of transferring of this tDNA. Here, this VIR-D, virulence D factor, is attached with the particular region, particular zone of transfer DNA, and they crosses the channel, and because this tDNA definitely contains those programming so that it can attach with the nucleus of plant cell. Fine. If there is no any similarity, then it will not going to integrate into the nucleus part. Fine, because how it integrates, it is again a very tough mechanism that it opens the some coil, and it's somehow making a kind of a molecular glue, and that I'm not going to discuss, but this is a general mechanism through which this tDNA gets transferred to plant cell and ultimately to the nucleus system. Fine. So how this helps? I mean, this is how this transfer DNA integrated into the nucleus. Now, you have a given task that go and develop a transgenic. And you know the property of this agrobacterium and how this tDNA transferred to and integrated into the nucleus. This Ti plasmid having arms, having different signals in its different arms. And you know that for the expression inside a plant cell, the vector, the vehicle, which is used uh, to carry your gene of interest, definitely having similar codon, similar signals, so that it can somehow integrate it into this Ti plasmid in the T arm. Okay. So here, this is a diagram showing this Ti plasmid, and this is target gene. Actually, this target gene is carried by this binary vector or shuttle vector. Fine. So this tDNA integrated with target gene, and the now it is called this whole term is called mobilization. Mobilization of your gene construct into the agrobacterium. Generally, we use Agrobacterium tumefaciens, and for hairy root formation, we use Agrobacterium rhizogenus. So this Agrobacterium tumefaciens, it is integrated, and like with the help of, when it integrated, you have to check with the help of molecular techniques that whether my gene of interest is there or not. PCR is sufficient to make you understand, to make you, give a pakka information that the gene of interest is inside your agrobacterium. Now, grow the agrobacterium up to a certain OD level, and cut the, take the explants from tobacco or whatever plant you want to transform, and co-cultivate with agrobacterium containing your gene of interest. Okay? Then it is washed. Actually, you are giving infection to the explant. You know that explant is first cut. I mean, it is made in such a small segments, which is cutted from all the sides. It means it is exposed to outer environment, and you are, with the help of co-cultivation, you are actually giving infection to the cut part. Fine. When you have given the infection, it starts, giving the, initiating the crown gall disease to that cut part. That with the help of this crown gall disease, I mean, agrobacterium is now infecting the plant cells inside the explant. And this with the help of this mechanism, this tDNA somehow integrate into the nucleus of plant cell. and this tDNA is already harboring your gene of interest because you have mobilized the whole construct into the agrobacterium before earlier. ठीक है? So if it is integrated here in the plant cell, now allow it for general tissue culture. Go for calcing, shooting, and rooting. But uh, before going for shooting, generally a plant tissue culturist or a researcher, they check it whether my gene of interest is inside or not. Fine. That before the checking, all the explants are called putative transformants. It means it is not as certain, it is not decided yet that the gene of interest is there or not. This is how the whole setup is being made. So this is a kind of explanation that how you develop a transgenic plant using agrobacterium mediated transfer. Fine. Just couple the knowledge, just couple the informations which I have shared you yesterday, that how you make construct, just try to channelize. You have already made the construct. Fine, you have idea about binary vector or shuttle vectors. That shuttle vector is now mobilized into agrobacterium strain, and that strain is co-cultivated with your explants. Now you have an idea of tissue culture. You transfer onto the plate containing suitable antibiotics and other genes, then allow to grow. It will grow and it will grow to full plant. But before that, before releasing that plant, you have to check molecularly that yes, my plant is actually transgenic. That I said, it means you have to check the integrity of your gene, its expression level. These two things is a must. Fine. To check the integrity, you can go for PCR and then southern blot. And for the expression level, you have to go for RT-PCR, that is reverse transcriptase PCR, or for certain point of time, you can also use real-time PCR. Fine, and northern blot is one of the options, but generally nowadays I have seen that we are not using northern blot much. So एक्सप्रेशन भी हो रहा है, मतलब प्रोटीन बन रहा है आपका जीन का, और इंटीग्रेशन तो है ही, आपने पहले ही चेक कर लिया था इंटीग्रेशन. Now you can say that yes, this generation that is called T0, T0 generation is a transgenic. Then you have to further analyze it. I mean, you grow. I have said yesterday or day before yesterday, I have shown several Petri plates and several explants. I have said that some explants grow and some are not. Which grow, we call it one event. Fine. So with the help of one event, you can develop several plants. So suppose you have 10 events, and in every 10 events that are checked, and out of these 10 events, 6 or 7 are having gene of interest. Fine. So with the help of this 6 event, 6 lines, now if you generate plants from there, every set of plants is called one line. Fine. Now it is clear, because most of the even the PhD scholars are very much confused that from the event to generation of lines. I think now I am clear. If you read some other stuffs, that will be make you a good information about this. So lines 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. Several lines are generated and all are tested with the help of molecular testing. I have already quoted the PCR and RT-PCR are one of the most usable techniques nowadays. Then you again collect seeds from the lines. Fine. And allow for your next generation, and check that if there is a 100% transfer of your gene or not. Theoretically, even experimentally, not the 100% second generation contain the gene of interest. You know, Mendelian factors are also responsible for that. Fine. There is always a segregation of gene into 3:1 ratio. So it is not likely that all the genes, all the generation contains your 100% gene of interest. Okay. I'm actually pulling you towards more research side. Now it is clear you have now idea of construct, how you mobilize it, and how transgenic plants are developed. Now it is clear to you. So now I'm interested in plant virus vectors. Plant virus vectors are efficient gene transfer agent. Uh, um, but I'm just telling you one thing, why plant virus vectors are important. You know, virus has an excellent capacity to replicate in a very less time. Do you know why? I'm just giving you one live example. Suppose in your house, you are having sneezing, you are having some general flu. So within a day or two, the whole family members get infected. It is just less than 24 hours or even 5 hours, 6 hours. The whole set of family members, 10, 20, 30, they gets infected. Do you know ever think that कैसे हो जाता है? How fast it is? You know, virus have an excellent capacity of division, excellent capacity of replication, despite of being in presence in a very low titer, because of their very highly efficient promoter. Their promoter is very efficient. So they start transcription, their transcription level is very high. Even though their titer, their presence is that molecules are very much in very small in number. So with the help of their excellent promoter, they are replicated very fast, and they just infect the whole community in a very less time. The same case you are seeing, the world is suffering from COVID-19. The same case is because these kind of viruses, they always contain promoters, they always contain such a genetic machinery that it is sometimes uncontrollable. Okay? So I am particularly interested in colimavirus. The colimavirus group have 15 viruses, and among them CAMV, cauliflower mosaic virus, is most important for gene transfer. And CMV infects many plants and can be easily transmitted. The infection is systemic. It is systemic infection. It is using their programming to infect someone. They are using the signal transduction methodology. Okay. So limitations are there. Uh, I mean, their capacity of foreign genes and infectivity capacity of CMV. There are so many. Now, the molecular biologist and molecular virologist are looking into a handy tool for gene expression, and for them, these Gemini viruses are important tools. Gemini viruses are single stranded DNA virus, and they have small in size, but they are very much efficient because they can infect a variety of plants in a very limited time period. There is one species in Gemini virus. This is called Begomo virus. This Begomo virus infects cotton, tomato, chili, tobacco, and almost all the commercially uh, commercially available plants. And in 2015-16, they almost clean, they almost destroy almost 100% cotton production in Punjab, whole Punjab. And even in Pakistan, they have suffered a lot there because the cotton production is the main cash crop income for Pakistani. So during 90s, 2000, 2003, 2005, they have already um, loses more than $200 billion of their revenue. And India somehow managed to uh, one fourth of it, around 50 to 60 billion dollar in past 15 or 20 years. So this is the sad part of this group of virus. But we can biotechnologically use such kind of virus. We can manipulate it for our efficient gene expression. You have already know about virus-induced gene silencing, that VIX vectors. So this Gemini virus, uh, there are several parts which are manipulated to develop VIX vector. Okay? These are small vectors having multiple cloning site, and it is already a live thing. So for replication, you need not to worry about any kind of extra vectors and all. So you can directly inject inside any plant and you can isolate your target protein. Fine. So electroporation, Nitin sir already described this, the physical gene transfer method electroporation. This is particle bombardment. This is also known as microprojectile bombardment, ballistic gun, etc., etc. Foreign gene coated with foreign DNA coated with high velocity gold or tungsten particle to deliver DNA into cell. This method is widely being used because of its ability to transfer foreign DNA into mammalian cell and microorganism. This is a highly mechanical thing and it is efficient too. Third one is micro injection. Micro injection is important because of its capacity to introduce DNA into oocyte and the eggs of animal, either through transient expression or to uh, follow the pathway which generate transgenic animals. But the main limitation is expertise. It is highly technical and very good expertise is required to use this kind of micro injection. You can see this how it is being manipulated and is being used. Liposome I have already discussed yesterday. This is like liposome adhesion to the protoplast surface. It fusion at the site of attachment and release of plasmid inside the cell. And this plasmid contains your gene of interest. So polyethylene glycol, that is chemical gene transfer methods. This polyethylene glycol, uh, in the presence of some divalent cation, they actually destabilizes the plasma membrane and make them permeable to the naked DNA which are present in the surrounding of that particular cell. Okay? It actually creates disturbance and there is a thinning of plasma membrane at that uh, portion, and somehow it allow even a nanometer of or a atometer, femtometer of opening of the pores, allow the naked DNA to come inside. Fine. And it has also some limitations, like the DNA is susceptible for degradation and rearrangement. It is very likely because it is a naked DNA. So it has to suffer all the chemicals and all the enzymes which is present inside a cell. So the chance of survivability of the gene of the target DNA is sometimes very, very less. Okay? And if it is less, then if you use this method to generate transgenic plant, you just think how much you have to screen. I mean, you have to now generate 100 or 200 or 500 events. Then out of these 500 events, you have to screen one by one, one by one. So it increases the overall cost of your production. So generally, the chemical gene transfer method is now not in use in general laboratory. So now there's a concept of marker gene. There are selectable marker, there are reporter genes. Selectable marker genes, suppose I have already said that there's agrobacterium and all. So agrobacterium contains, uh, once you infect your explant with agrobacterium and you have put it on the Petri plate, fine. So you have to somehow reduce the growth of this bacteria, this agrobacterium. Otherwise, it will spoil your whole arrangement. For that, we use antibiotics. Streptomycin, kanamycin, and hygromycin. These are generally used to uh, stop the growth of agrobacterium in your explant, because that infection which you have given uh, to transfer your gene of interest, it is just for 20-25 minutes of infection. Now you have to wash it and you have to check, that there should be no growth when you transfer the explant onto a Petri plate. That's why that media contains some selectable marker gene. It is generally antibiotic resistance gene or herbicidal resistance gene. Fine. So it will not allow agrobacterium to grow. I mean, your work is already over. You have infected and you have, already ascertained, you have already make up your mind that yes, it is there. It is already infected. Then my gene is inside. So you have to kill the agrobacteria now. So this selectable marker gene should be there. It means it also uh, affect your explant, because that antibiotic is very harmful. That hygromycin, these are very harmful antibiotic. It means the plasmid, the vehicle through which you have uh, transferred your gene of interest inside, it must contain some antibiotic resistance gene inside. Fine. If it does not contain that antibiotic resistance gene, then it will die. And it is again a kind of screening in the first stage. You have uh, developed that Petri plates contains certain antibiotic, and that antibiotic resistance gene is already present in your plasmid. If suppose it is the case that not all the explant gets infected with agrobacterium. If it is not infected with agrobacterium, then there is a high chance that your gene, your plasmid containing gene, does not transfer inside. Fine. If it is not transferred, it means your explant is now containing no antibiotic resistance gene. And if that plate contains antibiotic, that explant will die. Only those explants will survive who are actually getting infected with uh, agrobacterium. So this is the first screening, where you come to know that yes, I have used 100 small leaves. I mean cut part of the leaves. I mean 100 explant, and there are only 50 or 40 which gets infected with agrobacterium. Fine. And there are reporter genes. Reporter genes are used for assaying. Okay. It is actually a kind of referential gene to know the quantity of protein it produces in the final product. Fine, there are Gus gene, there are lug gene, there are Lux and other different kind of reporter gene. There are one more I am. Okay, I will tell you in your practical. There is one more gene, and it is very much in use because when you use it with your construct, you can analyze with the help of confocal microscopy. This is nowadays is one of the hotcake method which is being used by all the molecular biologists. So transgenic plant have various applications: resistance to biotic stress, abiotic stress, improvement of crop yield and quality, and production of low cost pharmaceutical. These are more, these are one of the four different applications of transgenic plants. So insect resistance plant, after the discussion of this insect resistant plant, I will stop discussion. Because most of the this insect of this BT cotton, development of BT cotton is being uh, having discussion. I have already discussed with by Nitin sir. So this uh, it is estimated that about 15% of the world crop yield is lost due to insects and pests. Fine. So uh, how you will counter it? You know, there are two kind of forces which are running. Okay, there are two sets of scientists. There are two sets of researchers. We are working relentlessly. One who is trying to improve the production, and second one who want to reduce the loss. In both cases, ultimately the yield is increasing. Okay, so this Bacillus thuringiensis bacteria, it was considered as one of the most potent uh, tool to resist to development of resistance against several worms, several insects, several pests across the globe. So I am now more interested in the mechanism of this insecticidal action. You know, this Bacillus thuringiensis, they forms crystals of proteinaceous insecticidal alpha endotoxins, and this alpha endotoxin is called crystal protein because it is a crystal protein. That's why it is also called CRY. CRY means crystal, which is encoded by Cry genes. In most strains of Bacillus thuringiensis, the Cry genes is located on a plasmid, and it is not a chromosomal gene. Just remember it. Cryotoxin have specific activities against insect species of several orders like Lepidoptera, Diphthera, Coleoptera, uh, Hymenoptera, etc. And this insect, when you transfer any plant with the help of this gene, they ultimately producing uh, protein. I mean, that transgene is developing protein, but in a low yield because you have changed the system. Any gene which is fully functional when it is in their mother system, and we have taken this gene from bacteria and transferred into some other plant. So when insect ingests this toxin crystal, their alkaline digestive tract actually denatures the insoluble crystal and makes them soluble. Fine. When it is soluble, it starts flowing inside the insects. I mean, it is found in insect wort, and it starts liberating the toxin from the crystal. What happens? This cryotoxin is then inserted into the insect gut cell membrane. It paralyzes the digestive tract and forming pores. You know, if in a digestive tract, this protein, this toxic protein creates pores. Fine. Then after some time, the insect stops eating because it is difficult for any organism to eat anything when your whole digestive system is having pierced with something. In this case, it is cryotoxin. Then it starves to death. Fine. So this is an excellent work which is done by this cry protein. ठीक है, तो ये मैकेनिज्म है, वो पूरे के पूरे इंसेक्ट के गट को जो है वो पोर्स उसमें होल क्रिएट कर देता है. वो कुछ भी खाता है तो वो एक तो डाइजेस्ट भी नहीं होगा, एंड इट इज समहाउ कम आउट from its cold system. तो वो कुछ खा ही नहीं पाएगा, तो ultimately in 1 or 2 days he automatically died. So this is an excellent mechanism which is being followed by this virus resistance plant. I mean, if you want to create a transgenic plant against a virus, you just use one portion of this virus inside a plant, integrate inside the plant, and you know how it functions. I wonder, because I have read several textbooks, but no textbook has cleared it that कि कैसे होता है ये. Actually, suppose here I have quoted that code protein. Code protein code protein gene is a gene which actually encapsulates any virus. It's a kind of skin. तो उस जीन को एम्पलीफाई किया पीसीआर से और उसे इंटीग्रेट कर दिया. वो पूरे सिस्टम जो मैंने आपको बताया, आपने you have developed the construct and you have mobilized this construct inside agrobacterium, and you, with the help of this technology, you have developed transgenic plant. Now this code protein is integrated inside the system, and if it is integrated there, it will gives it signal. Fine, because that code protein is now producing code protein gene is now producing CP gene, CP protein, code protein. This, and you know, a single virus has no capacity to infect any plant. It only infects when it is present there in adequate amount. It has certain density, and this, with the help of this density, they somehow integrate into the plant system, replicate in particularly in phloem system, and integrate, and their start replication and increase its number, and they ultimately suck all the nutrients of the plant, and the plants become non-functional. But when a transgenic plant contains that portion of a virus, it starts giving expression. Certain virus, suppose it attacks, it now it gets confused because the signals, that virus signals, is also coming inside from the plant. So that density which is required to infect a plant, that things has been halted, because the virus gets confused, because he actually getting signal from inside, so he is now not giving signals to their neighboring viruses to attack that plant. This is how this works, and this is a very beautiful mechanism, which is I think some glimpses you can found in uh, Koenig et al. Koenig was a researcher, and that paper is published in Nature, I guess, in 1993 or 83. You can check it. So vaccine production, I have already told you. Golden rice, this produce a type of rice that accumulates beta carotene in rice grains. So when it consumed, beta carotene is converted into vitamin A, and this is how you. Flavor saver tomato, we all are using this. The polygalacturonase gene, which is responsible for fruit decay, is silenced with the help of antisense gene of the same antisense gene. It's somehow making heteroduplex, and the expression of this polygalacturonase stops there. ठीक है, तो इसका सेल्फ लाइफ बढ़ जाता है. This tearless onion, which is produced through gene silencing, these are colorful cauliflowers. Chrome genes, chrome means colored gene. The colored genes were somehow isolated from some other plants, and it is integrated here, and it is produced this beautiful cauliflower. Purple tomato, purple rose, these are colorful corns. It's like so